Class 11th, Subject Physics, 6th chapter, Mechanical Properties of Solids. Mechanical Properties of Solids. From this chapter, let us see the types of stress and strain. So, different types of stress and strain that we will have to study. There are three types of stress and the corresponding strain, such as tensile stress or strain, volume stress or strain, and shearing stress or strain. Let us see these types of stress and strain one by one. So first of all, we will consider tensile or longitudinal or compressive stress. So the first type of stress, that is tensile or longitudinal or compressive stress. When the deforming force acting on a body produces change in its length, then the stress is called as tensile stress. So first one, if you consider the tensile or the compressive stress, tensile or compressive stress, at that time we can say that when the deforming force is acting on a body and then it will produce change in its length, that means there may be increase in length or decrease in length of that solid, then the stress is called as tensile or compressive stress. And therefore, let us consider a solid having its original length is equal to L. Now, if the force is acting perpendicular to its cross section along its length, such as this force, then there will be increase in length of that solid, that is delta L. Therefore, we can say that when the force F is acting along the length L of that solid or any wire perpendicular to its area of cross section A, then it produces an elongation delta L in the wire. Therefore, here delta L is the elongation, that is increase in length of that solid, and therefore tensile stress will be given as, that is tensile or longitudinal stress will be given as tensile stress equal to magnitude of force per unit area. So in this case, there will be increase in length of the solid. On the other hand, when equal and opposite forces, when two equal and opposite forces are acting there on that solid, that means when two equal and opposite forces are acting at two ends of that solid. So this F is directed towards right, this force is directed towards left, and these two forces are equal in magnitude. At that time, when these two equal and opposite forces are acting at the two ends of the solid perpendicular to the area of cross section of that solid, then it produces compression in the wire. So due to these two equal and opposite forces, this wire having its original length L will get now compressed, so that its length will become equal to L minus delta L. That is, this delta L will be the decrease in the length of that solid, and therefore we can define here the compressive stress. So compressive stress will be again nothing but it is the ratio of force and area of cross section, that is F by A. So if you consider tensile or longitudinal stress as well as the compressive stress, then formula for it will be force per unit area of cross section, that is F by A. Now, if you consider the tensile strain, then the change in length delta L, the change in length delta L per unit original length, that is L, is called as tensile strain. The change in length delta L per unit original length L is called as tensile strain, and therefore tensile strain is equal to change in length delta L upon original length L. This will be the formula for this tensile strain. Now let us consider the second type of stress and strain, that is volume or hydraulic stress and volume strain. Volume or hydraulic stress and volume strain. So let us consider first the volume or hydraulic stress. So when the deforming force acting on a body produces change in the volume of that body, then the stress is called as volume stress, or it is also called as the hydraulic stress, and the corresponding strain produced in that body is called as volume strain. When the deforming force is acting on that body such that there is change in volume of this body, at that time we can define the volume or hydraulic stress and volume or the volume or hydraulic strain again. And therefore in this case we have considered a spherical body having its original volume is equal to phi. Then the forces are acting from all sides of that spherical body, and therefore there will be decrease in the volume of that solid. So this area between these two circles will represent the change in volume, let it be delta phi, so that this will be the original volume phi, and the volume of this compressed spherical body will be equal to phi minus delta phi, so that this delta V will represent the decrease in volume. And therefore from this we can say that when the force F is acting perpendicular to the surface area of the body and produces change in the volume of that body, then we can define the volume stress as volume stress equal to force per unit area. But in this case that force is perpendicular to the surface of this spherical body, and we know that force per unit, that is perpendicular force per unit area, is nothing but the pressure P. So this will represent the change in pressure, that is volume stress or hydraulic stress equal to F by A, that is change in pressure, that is pressure P. Now when the deforming force acting on the body changes its volume by small change in volume delta phi, then at that time we can define the volume strain, that is change in volume per unit original volume. Change in volume is delta V divided by original volume is phi, and therefore delta V upon phi will represent the volume strain. So in this way we can define volume stress and volume strain. Then let us go for third type of stress and strain, that is shearing stress and shearing strain. Shearing stress and shearing strain. Shear is related with the shape of the body. Shearing stress and shearing strain are related with the shape of the body, and therefore we have considered here one cube, that is the front face of the cubical shaped body will be there. Then suppose this cubical shape is made up of different horizontal layers such that the layer at the bottom, that is AB, is kept fixed. There will be no any displacement of this AB layer, and above this all the layers will be movable, that is they are loosely connected with this bottom layer AB. The maximum displacement will be there for this DC layer when force F is applied here. So when this tangential force is applied at the upper layer of this cube, at that time there will be maximum displacement of this side DC, that is D dash or C dash, which will be equal to delta L. So due to the application of this tangential force F, there is displacement of this topmost layer DC through delta L, such that angle theta will be made here, that is angle DAD dash is equal to theta. The length of this cube is equal to L, and therefore in case of this shearing stress and shearing strain, we can say that when a deforming force acting on a body produces change in the shape of the body, the shearing stress and shearing strain are produced. So originally it was in these two sides will be vertical, but due to the application of the force there is change in shape, that is original shape is ABCD and the final shape will be ABC dash D dash. So due to the application of this tangential force there will be change in the shape, and hence we can define the shearing stress and shearing strain. So when a tangential force F acts on the surface area A of any layer of that cubical shaped body, then it produces change in shape of the body without changing its size. So in this case size of that body will remain constant, only there will be change in its shape, and therefore the shearing stress will be given as tangential force per unit area. Tangential force per unit area, that is again F upon A. So shearing stress will be equal to tangential force per unit area, that will be equal to F upon A. This will give rise to shearing stress. Now in the above diagram, in this diagram, if you consider this diagram, then in this diagram ABCD is the front view of that cube. When force F is applied at the top of the surface, keeping bottom AB fixed, then the top layer gets displaced through delta L, so that angle, so when this top layer DC gets displaced, at that time this theta, that is DA dash, will be the small angle theta, and therefore the shearing strain will be defined as the relative displacement of any layer, divided by its distance from that fixed layer. So in this case shearing strain will be defined as, this will be the displacement of any layer from the fixed layer divided by its distance from the fixed layer. Now displacement is delta L and fixed distance is L, and therefore we can write shearing strain equal to change in length per unit length of that cube, that is lateral displacement of any layer divided by its distance from the fixed layer, and therefore delta L upon L, that will be equal to, so from this triangle DAD dash, delta L upon L, that means DD dash upon this DA. DD dash is the opposite side to this angle theta, and DA is the adjacent side. Therefore, opposite side upon adjacent side will give us tan of that angle, and therefore delta L upon L will be equal to tan theta. But this displacement is very small. This delta L is very small, and therefore we can say that delta L upon L, that is equal to tan theta, which will be equal to theta, since theta is very small. So these are the different types of stress and strain, as tensile stress or strain, volume stress or strain, and shearing stress or strain. And now let us see the most important law in case of these mechanical properties of the solids, and that is Hooke's law. Hooke's law, which is related with the elasticity of the materials, or it is related with mechanical properties of solids. Now it is stated as within elastic limit. Within elastic limit, the stress is directly proportional to strain. Within elastic limit, the stress is directly proportional to strain. This is the statement of Hooke's law. Within elastic limit, the stress is directly proportional to strain, and therefore we can write stress is directly proportional to strain within this elastic limit. And therefore, as stress is directly proportional to strain, therefore stress will be equal to constant of proportionality into strain. So this proportionality sign is removed, and therefore constant will be taken here, and therefore we can write stress equal to constant into strain, or stress upon strain, stress upon the strain will be equal to constant. So this will be the formula for this Hooke's law, that is stress upon strain is equal to constant. This ratio of stress to the strain is called as modulus of elasticity. So this constant, that is stress upon strain equal to constant, this ratio of stress to the strain is called as modulus of elasticity. Then the maximum value of stress, up to which stress is directly proportional to strain is called as elastic limit. The maximum value of stress up to which the stress is directly proportional to strain is called as elastic limit, and within elastic limit this law will be valid. And therefore, if you consider the nature of the graph for this Hooke's law, that is when we plot the graph of stress against strain within elastic limit, at that time the nature of the graph will be a straight line passing through origin, and this represents that within elastic limit stress is directly proportional to strain. If we find out the slope of this straight line of the graph of stress against strain, then it will be constant, as it is straight line passing through origin, and therefore that constant or the slope of this graph will give us the modulus of elasticity, that is constant of elasticity, that is change in stress divided by change in strain, that is stress upon strain equal to constant, which is nothing but the modulus of elasticity or constant of elasticity.